On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, gun rights in Virginia. Nobody cares about impeachment. H&K upgrades the VP9, and the new Colt Pythons are out. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny and Marky of the John1911 Podcast, episode 158. And it's, about 20 after 7 in the morning, and Danny's up and I am up, and we are getting it bright and early today, so...
We're ready to attack.
We are ready to attack. So Danny was just asking me if we should cover the impeachment at all, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. They're impeaching him, whatever.
Well,
whatever.
Did you notice that the Democrats are trying to pull their October surprise in January? The same thing they did to Kavanaugh. With that Julie Swetnick, now they're pulling this, I can't even say his name, guy out of their butts to testify. That Rev or Liv or whatever his name is. I don't have it in front of me.
I'll be honest with you. I have not even... it's like this guy's under indictment. It's, look, here's the thing with this stuff. We've all been through this, like with Mueller and the peeing in the mattresses and Michael Avenatti and the hooker and, or the porn star and, and all this, then the lawyer. And it's just even if this guy somehow has anything to do with anything, number one, he should have been called during the House because, the House trial, because but the Democrats in the House wouldn't let the Republicans call any witnesses, and they wouldn't let the Democrats cross-examine any of the Democratic witnesses. So it's that's the time to to do all the evidence. And so I'm I hate to sound so irresponsible as far as being up on the political scandals of the day, but with this impeachment, I'm I don't care. It's just Nancy Pelosi got her gold pens. That's all she really wanted. Whatever. Am I wrong?
No. Here's what I fail to see. Do the Democrats really think it's going to sway opinion within Trump's voters? No matter who they produce.
Here's the thing. Here's the math. Okay. So, and you're already noticing this. The Democrats aren't dumb. Some of them are, but we have Republicans that are dumb as well. But look, the real battle isn't to try to flip Ohio. The real battle is to try to just scrape back the votes that Hillary lost, or either the Democrats stayed home because they're so disgusted by Hillary and weren't interested, or the Democrats that Trump flipped in Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And it looks like the real battlegrounds are going to be in Wisconsin. And guess where the Democratic convention's going to be for the 2020 cycle?
Milwaukee.
Yeah, which is, is it Milwaukee or Wisconsin?
Milwaukee is in Wisconsin.
Oh, wait a minute. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah, see, I don't even I hate to say this, but anything north of Chicago, I got to be honest with you, dude. It must be fucking Canada.
Well, I could throw a rock and hit it, so yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. So, but the idea being, here's the thing. They're trying to have their convention up there. Maybe they can get a couple points, a bump, to maybe try to, win, just get a couple points of voters. And here's the thing. If they can knock Trump down a couple points, here's the reality. If Trump loses re-election by 2 or 3 points, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are geniuses for this impeachment thing, because they're going to say that they just, death through 1,000 cuts, 4 years of nonstop investigations and 4 years of, the press running Trump down, and they got him out by 2 points. And
right.
So we'll see. The history will be written after the election on how this has gone.
But what the national pundits really miss is outside of Milwaukee and Madison, where the college is, Wisconsin is severely right wing. So trust me, there's enough people up there to offset the liberal areas. Yes, Wisconsin is a battleground, but I think it's flipped and it's going to stay flipped.
You know, I mean, we will have to see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, well, yeah. Look, here's the thing too. Like, let's talk about Virginia here for a minute. You know, there's all this stuff.
That's like, a whole pod in itself.
I mean, you know, okay. Obviously, I'm pro-gun. You know, obviously, I'm. You know, I mean, I'm basically a Republican. I mean, I'm not a. You know, I'm not a John Kasich Republican. You know,
thank gosh.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, but I'm not a Republican who, like, you know, wants to, like, you know, fuck with gay people. Like, I don't give, you know, leave the fucking people alone. You know, and I think, but you know, you look at Northam in Virginia, and it's like, I mean, this guy, like all the shit they were doing with abortion in Virginia, like, you know, this crazy, like, last minute abortions. And then that kind of went away because they had to get that out of the news and to get Black Man or Blackface or whatever the hell they call that man, Coon Man, whatever his nickname was in medical school. And now he's like, there's so much bullshit coming out of Virginia. It's hard to keep straight what's real and what's fake. Like, there's a bill to ban indoor gun ranges that aren't in government buildings. It's like, what fucking asshole, like, what argument is there for public safety that you need to ban indoor gun ranges? You know, if anything, that would make things less safe. This is obviously just being done to irritate gun owners.
Or, besides the irritation factor, can it be that they want complete government oversight of any and all weapons?
Well, yeah, but it's kind of, it's six, you know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I guess my point is, you know, are they overplaying their hand? Like, you know, like, so much that they're going to turn Virginia back into GOP territory.
I'm beginning to think that way. Did you see, speaking of Virginia, did you see what's planned for Monday?
Well, okay. Well, see, goes back to my comment of there's so much bullshit coming out of Virginia right now. You can't even know what the hell's true and what's not. Monday is MLK Day, right?
That's correct.
That would be 2 days. Today's Saturday, the 18th of January. So Monday, the 20th, is Martin Luther King Day. So they're going to have a big gun rights protest at the in Richmond, near the Capitol building or the governor's. I don't know where they're going to have it. Somewhere in Richmond, right?
Correct.
So it's like, number one, I mean, what kind of fucking asshole on the gun side thought it was a good idea to have this big pro-gun rally on Martin Luther King Day in Virginia? I mean, after Charlottesville. I mean, you're just asking to have the media turn this into a circus to somehow make it. I mean, it's just so dumb.
I agree, because there's two facets to this, though. I agree with their protesting over what the state of Virginia is doing to the gun owners. For the picking of the day and time might be somewhat suspect, but you have to realize Virginia is home to how many government workers who will all have the day off on Monday. So you're not going for a special day to get people in there. So maybe that's one aspect of it. But
fair point.
I don't know what you've heard, but from what I have heard, read, and seen, this is playing into the governor's hands. He will label all these gun rights people that are out there protesting as race activists, racist, whatever you want to call it, Nazis, you name it. They're going to throw any pronouns, nouns, whatever they can add them. The media is going to eat this up. The MSM is going to eat this up. And they're going to agree with the governor, and under the label and the heading of, look, all these gun rights people, they're racist. They're out here with toting their guns or this or that, all to give a black eye towards the guns right activists. It's a mixture set up for the liberals, which couldn't be better for them.
Well, that's certainly the battle that's taking place now, because everybody's positioning themselves to try to create the narrative for Monday. You know, you keep hearing rumors about Antifa's going to show up.
I've heard that also.
And then you hear rumors that Antifa's going to show up to be pro-gun. And then, you know, then it's like, well, they're going to have this cordon off area with one egress point where they're going to be, checking people for firearms. And then the governor's come out and said he's going to have the National Guard disarm people if they show up with firearms. It's just like, this is like haymaker, like, you know, in the boxing ring, there's people just swinging for knockout punches every 5 hours on this. Well, and, you know, I just pray that Monday doesn't turn into fucking Lexington, and just doesn't turn. I mean, God, not even Charlottesville. At this point, I'm hoping Monday doesn't turn into Fort Sumter, because I know for real, this governor is so dumb that he just keeps taking his baseball bat and whacking the hornet's nests constantly. You know, like last night before I went to bed, I saw blurbs. There's now a movement in West Virginia to try to annex the counties in Virginia that have declared themselves sanctuary city. Basically, it's like, if you don't want to be in Virginia anymore, Virginia's going to go apeshit crazy, you can come back into West Virginia. Which, again, for our listeners to do the 30-second historical, lesson here, the reason you have West Virginia is because during the Civil War, Virginia seceded from the Union. Well, if anyone's ever been to West Virginia, there's mountains, a lot of mountains, and it's, the world of West Virginia was very far removed from the world of Virginia, because the only way to get from one place to the other was to hump all those fucking mountains. So they literally had two very different cultures. And so Virginia seceded.
They still have two different cultures.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier now to get from West Virginia to Virginia. It used to be people never did, because that was a haul. Well, Virginia seceded, and then West Virginia seceded from Virginia, and that's how that state was created. And it's like, there's kind of an argument here about how Virginia and West Virginia exists due to these national crises, that this isn't like, hey, Ohio and California are going to team up together, like Ohio's going to annex like Northern California. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
These people have met, they know each other. And every day I read the stories come out of Virginia, and I can't make head nor tails out of half of it.
Well, did you see why the governor declared for all the protesters to be disarmed in the first place?
I'm sure it's, death threats, state of emergency.
Threats, right, death threats against the Democrats voting to take the gun rights away. It won't stop it. It won't stop it. I fully agree with you that let's hope that the hornet's nest doesn't finally fall to the ground on Monday, but it's not looking good. You got two bulls out in the barnyard going to butt heads on this.
Well, what's going to happen is this is going to be like Covington Catholic all over again with this, with that kid. What's going to happen is everybody's going to have their cameras out, and they're going to be provoking each other, trying to make a story, and the worst case scenario is you're going to see something on video, whether it's an incident or people or a person or a situation, and you'll have one person videotaping it saying X happened, and you'll have another group videotaping it saying Y happened. And you already see it. And everybody's getting ready for Monday. That's what's really going on. And it's frightening. It is. It's frightening because, anybody on our side of the argument that actually is looking forward to the civil war, like, oh, this is my favorite, the Boogaloo. It's like, yeah, you want to turn America into Mexico. You wait. I mean, if you okay, here's a history lesson for like the people that wanted to tear down the Confederate statues. Okay, let's all go there. Charlottesville, Virginia, all of it. Okay. The reality is, I mean, yes, war is terrible, okay, and bad things happen on both sides of the Civil War. But at the end of the day, most of the Confederate commanders, they were Americans. They had served in the American Army. A lot of them, they knew all the commanders on the other side. And in many cases, they conducted themselves with honor and with dignity and, on the battlefield and off the battlefield. People try to rewrite history today, like tearing down these statues. Robert E. Lee was a hero in New York City, not because New York City was, pro-slavery or pro-South. They were not. But the man was so admired throughout the country. That's why you had statues to the guy. Well, if we have another one of these civil wars, do you think there's going to? Name the people on both sides of this argument. The commanders on the field that are going to be these, honorable people. They're going to that operate under the rules of land warfare. What you're going to have is roadblocks. And you're going to have killings in intersections and drive-by shootings and bombings and political assassinations. And you're going to turn the country into fucking Mexico. And it's like these assholes wanting this boogaloo, it's like, we got the guns. Go ahead and do it, hippies. It's like, you're a fucking idiot too. I mean, everybody's so retarded on all of this. If war comes, if something happens, better it happen with me and my generation than my descendants. Better we fight for the AR-15s and for the 30-round magazines and for our rights than our grandchildren fighting just to hold on to a 6-shot revolver like they did in England. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the people that are anxious for any of this to happen, people that are like, this is going to go so well. Like, you're going to come out of this smelling like a rose. Oh, you're in for a shock. And I pray and hope you don't get what you're asking for.
Well, there are zealots on both sides.
Oh, yes, there are.
There's
nothing. Hold on. Well, let me ask you
ahead.
This, because you're kind of up on this. News came out yesterday that the FBI has arrested somewhat supposed Nazis, or I don't know if they were Nazis or if they're like white supremacists or if like it's interchangeable. I mean, have you ever actually met a fucking Nazi? I haven't. But supposedly they've arrested some people who had plans to do something on Monday. What the fuck's up with that?
Well, from what I've seen, there were 3 younger kids. They all looked like they were in their early 20s. And through social media posts, they were deemed as, I can't think of what, maybe they're labeling them Nazis, but they were named as, let's say, detriments to society. So the FBI came in and got them. It's just exactly he had said a few minutes ago.
Well, they must have had some reason. Like, were they planning attacks or bombings? Look, I just got on a podcast and said, if war happens, I guess I have to be a part of it. Does that mean they're going to come and arrest me?
I don't know what the parameters are for an arrest. Maybe they made death threats or, something that might be deemed credible. I don't know.
Yeah,
all I know is they were gotten through social media for their post.
Okay, I didn't know it had come through social media, but look, as here's a word, as impeached as the FBI's reputation is these days.
You're putting it mildly.
Yeah. I still would like to think that if the FBI came in and arrested some people, that there's probably some pretty legit. Look, it's like, I want to hear. I'd like to find out what the evidence is. I'd like to find out what the probable cause was. I like to find out, what was the process to these warrants to arrest these people, because I'm tending to believe it probably was serious. I'd like to think it wasn't like some rogue FBI agents trying to give Governor Northam ammo to like fuck with the gun people. Like, you would hope that's not the case. But we now live in a country where the Attorney General of the United States intentionally ran unmarked guns into Mexico to create an international crisis and kill Mexicans so we could have a political crisis in the U.S. over the Second Amendment. This is what I just said is not Alex Jones' wacko theory. This happened. It was called Fast and Furious.
Yes.
This actually happened.
And whatever came out of that, nothing.
Of course.
Nothing. Like you have equated too many times. The swamp stays the swamp.
The swamp isn't going to prosecute itself. That's why Donald Trump got elected. It's like, the Attorney General or the Inspector General or the Special Prosecutor. We're going to get to they're not. Like, what was it? Something like they just appointed supposedly somebody through the FISA court is going to brought in a guy to we're gonna straighten this out. It's like, yeah, whatever. Dude.
Did you see who they brought in for that?
That was the point. I don't remember who it was, but it was some guy who apparently doesn't have the reputation for, really being someone you would think is going to really care about the FISA court.
The FISA court brought in the same guy that represented the FBI saying there are no FISA abuses. So you got the fox in the hen house doing the investigation.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, and that kind of goes to the point, kind of like when Freeze and I were having this argument a couple years ago. Like, he was saying Eric Holder's going to jail, and I'm like, no, he's not, because at this high of a level, people like this don't. Eric Holder doesn't go to jail. Hillary Clinton's never going to jail. All these people, they're not going to jail. They're just not. The only way to solve these problems or to correct these issues is politically. Because you have to have someone to come in politically and make the changes. And that's why Donald Trump is president. Because Donald Trump is like a tow missile into the bowels of the swamp.
And that's why the swamp. Then that's why the swamp hates him. He is not an insider.
Yeah,
he is not one of them. But real quick, reverting back to Virginia, if God forbid, if something does happen Monday, no matter which way it goes, do you think this will either embolden the more liberal states or make them take a step back and look at it like, hey, these people are rising up. We better watch our shit somehow.
Here's. I think this is going to happen in two ways, and I've wargamed this out a lot over the past couple months. As far as the politics are concerned, the only way liberals, like crazy left-wing liberals that like truly communist or people that just, they do want to take all your guns, the only way they're going to be stopped is if subsequently Virginia, how like Bill Clinton got wiped out because of the assault weapons stuff.
Yes.
Because they went after guns. And even like, what was Copperhead's name? Who was the guy who worked on his campaign? James Carville even said the NRA basically wiped them out because they went after the guns. And so if all these Democrats in Virginia get wiped out in the next couple of elections, that will send a chill across the Democratic Party for the next, say, 10 or 15 years across the U.S. However, I think no matter what happens on Monday, it's not going to make either side tamp down their behavior. But what the real fear is, heaven forbid somebody gets killed, and heaven forbid that, like, when people start dying, the politics change.
Especially if he orders the troops.
Well, I mean, it's not even that. It's the proximity of people around other people, knowing that they're probably going to fight and creating that drama. At some point politically it can splash on you. You can become responsible for it. It's like, I just don't. That's why the narrative is going to be so important. It's, I mean, you hate to say it like this, but, an innocent person may have to die for the narrative on one side or the other on Monday. And that's literally, I'll put it this way. If knowing what I know now, what I suspect may happen on Monday at this place, I mean, if I lived in Virginia, and my family's from Virginia, I mean, that's home. Virginia, West Virginia is home for me. I don't know if it would be smart for me to go to this rally. Maybe I would go to Richmond, but I would maybe go to an alternate site. Like, I don't know if I'd want to be a party to a mass, like a mass shooting. You know what I mean? Like, what if Antifa shows up and, like, something, they're shooting from the roof or something? It's like, I don't know if necessarily, me showing up and getting involved in a scrum really benefits the cause. Maybe, maybe getting my sheriff in my counties to run off the ATF or run off the guys from Richmond from coming into my county and screwing with my gun rights might be a better use of my time. I mean, I just don't know, but even saying this on a podcast, because you got all these people like that, because the internet's so easy. You get all these guys on Instagram and Facebook, and they're all macho because they live in, like, fucking Illinois, or they live in Texas, and they're ready to fucking go to war in Virginia. And the reality is they're just typing on the fucking computer. Yeah. They're not fucking going there.
But, no matter what happens Monday, the MSM is going to spin it with a liberal twist. You know that, don't you?
Of course, that's the narrative.
It has to be, because they're going to make any person on the right side or on the right side of guns going to look like it's their fault. That's already in the planning. And this is part of Northrop's whole plan, I think.
Well, I don't know if the man is smart or not, but I will say, I'm just like, man, I'm going to go on MLK Day. Fucking Christ. I mean, like, dude, you could have Antifa guys showing up in white fucking sheets at this thing, marching in front of CNN cameras to make it look like it's the Cluckers. This is so bad, because everybody's full of shit on this. You got guys on our side that are telling everybody that they're ready to go to war, and they're not. And then you got people on the other side saying that anybody that's pro-gun's a Nazi, and they're not. And, it's, you get the wackadoodle all screwed out, bent out of shape, and he shows up and does something on either side, and it's on film. It's Monday could be a bad day. I hope it's not. I mean, I hope it's not.
Well, let's hope for the best, and maybe change gears here. But I did not buy my new pistol yet, and I'm glad I've waited. You know why?
You want to get a HK VP9
with a 17
with a 17 round magazine and a red dot slide?
How did I did not tell you, and this was not pre-planned, but I like those now. Well, I wonder why they went to 17. Too much griping?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, was it like somebody came in on social media and was like, standard capacity? It's like, they don't, because they're retards. I mean, you get these people that they, magazine versus clip, and they really don't know the difference. They just say magazine. Like, it's not a clip, it's a magazine. It's like, well, actually, it's a stripper clip. That they don't understand is the HKP30 is a pretty old pistol design. It's been around a long time. And back then, service pistol sizes were 15 rounds. They built it to they're like, hey, we're going to make a gun. It's going to be a service pistol, and the spec is 15 rounds. The Beretta 92 and 92F, the M9, was a 15 round magazine. Like, this was in a world where you had some guns that had 13 and 14 rounds. So it wasn't like H&K was down powering magazines to somehow like make a political statement. It's a magazine designed from the 80s, probably. I don't know when the P30 came out, probably in the 1980s, early 90s. I don't know, maybe the 90s.
I haven't seen the prices on them yet of the new ones.
But they're saying, like, I was looking at the photographs that H&K's their team captain was showing, and I would assume, because it had a red dot slide, and I would assume he had a 17 round magazine in a gun. And it looks like it's a flush fit magazine. Like, it doesn't look like it sticks out any. So they just changed a few things internally, like with follower bottom and top. The follower dimension at the top, and say the base plate at the bottom, to not take up as much room. And they supposedly have a 17 round magazine.
I wonder if there'll be a conversion kit for the older ones.
I doubt it. I suspect it's probably significant enough of a change, but who knows? If there is, it'd be so cheap, because the mag body's the money. The tube is the money. So like HK parts would probably have, somebody will make something, and you can convert your mag. But H&K was blowing out. H&K's been blowing out 15 round magazines the past couple months. They've been, and it's like you could buy 4 for $100, which
now
you know
why.
Yeah, now you know why. but it's interesting. I had a meeting because we're working on a design for something. I had a meeting in a machine shop the day before the H&K announced this red dot cut, and one of the projects is, hey, can you guys cut this slide for me so I can put a red dot on it? Not that I'm ready to go red dot, but I'm super curious about the SRO red dot. And, I'm getting older. My eyes are getting older. I mean, I can see front sights, but I can't see as far as I used to be able to see. And I like how big the SRO Trigicon red dot window is. I like the profile of it, and I wouldn't mind playing with it. So I'm thinking about having my gun cut. I mean, I'm not going to buy one of these red dot uppers. I'm still going to have my gun cut. I don't need another VP9.
Speaking of guns, did you see any sales statistics for your new favorite pistol?
What's my new favorite pistol?
Your favorite 357.
Oh, the Python.
Yes, the sales are. They say that the sales are far outpacing the manufacturer.
Really?
That's what I had heard.
I didn't know that. I was in our FFL yesterday, our retail FFL, and they still have the same Python in there.
Really?
It's a stainless steel Python. It's an original one. It's like well over $3,000, and it's just like, yeah, I'm not, And I've heard supposedly the new Pythons, the trigger's better.
Really?
I've heard the double action trigger's better on these than on the original.
Well, I wonder if the sales department is just using the propaganda method to sell more of them. Or well, apparently
the MSRP is $1,499, so $1,500. But I saw reports some people were seeing them listed for sale for $2,000. It's no different than the car market. Like, when a new car comes out that's super hot, people get over list. They list, dealers will get it over list. And there's people that'll buy it just so they can have it on YouTube or whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna pay a penny more than what they go for. I'm just not. But I'll get one.
Yeah, I know somebody that bought a Lambo for $50,000 over.
I bet you do.
Because there were only 10 of them in the country.
Yeah. God, I love Lambos. I'm a Lamborghini. No one ever asked Ferrari. No one ever asked me, so Marky, are you a Ferrari or a Lamborghini guy? I'm a Lamborghini guy. I've always been a Lamborghini guy.
I'm a Nash Rambler type guy myself.
I'll tell you what, I've actually been eyeballing either a Gen 2 Viper or a Shelby Cobra kit car from what's it called? Factory 5.
I've seen those. Seen those.
I like the Vipers, and Freeze never wants to talk about cars. He doesn't really care about cars.
Yes, he does NASCAR.
I hate NASCAR. I mean, I don't care.
Speaking of Freeze, what is he, MIA today?
He's still working. He doesn't even get off until 8:30. He doesn't even get home until he either gets off at 8 or 8:30. I can't remember. So he maybe gets off at 8 and then gets home at 8:30. So hell, you texted me. You were like, I'm up, and I was like, well, shit, I'm up. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Because I'm going to have a busy day today, and I mean it's about 8 o'clock, and once my day gets started, it's going to be hard to keep everything going. So let's talk about it.
Go ahead. I thought Saturdays you get a rest a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It depends, but it is what there's just so much going on. So I guess in the industry, there's been a couple of CNR got demonetized off of YouTube, and then they got remonetized. C and Arsenal, the YouTube channel.
I wonder why they were pulled.
Well, because they have guns. But then I guess last night, Armslist.com announced that their Facebook and Instagram pages were deleted. With no warning. So it was, they said they made some comment. They made some public comment on, I don't know if it was on Twitter, basically said, what they said, they compared it to Jeffrey Epstein. Some kind of joke like, our face, just like Jeffrey Epstein, our Facebook page and Instagram pages didn't kill themselves. Somebody killed them for us. So, they're kind of pushy over there, Armslist. So,
wow.
They'll do whatever they're going to do. So,
well, aren't you glad that you have different venues in case that ever happens to us?
I mean, yeah, that's, I mean, if I had my way, I mean, look, I don't want anybody to get wiped out. I mean, but it's just like we still have our website, and that's the whole point. I mean, if everybody got wiped out, it would benefit us because we have the website. Like, we host all the videos. We don't do free YouTube hosting and embedding on there. But look, if getting deplatformed is a real thing, and I can prove it to the listener. When was the last time our listeners, if you're at home, you've heard of Laura Loomer, Mino Yiannopoulos, or who's the InfoWars guy? Alex Jones. You know what I mean? Like when they were on Facebook and Twitter and whatever, YouTube, they were all over the news. They were all over the media, but they've all been removed. All three of those people have been removed off of most of the social media platforms, and they're shadows of them or their former selves.
Yes, they are. Well, they tried to silence Alex Jones as much as possible. Not that I'm an advocate of his, but you're right. There's another example. It's Milo was up there. He was a top 3 during the last election.
You couldn't find that dude with a search warrant right now.
But yet they testified in Congress that they don't silence anyone. No one asked about those people.
Yep.
That's
all right.
Good point. That's a good point. Well,
and
let's hope go ahead.
I think that'll be a good point to wrap this one up on. So
yeah. Well, let's hope for the best for Monday.
Let's hope for the best on Monday. So, all right. Well, this wraps up episode 158 of the John 1911 Podcast. If you want to see the pictures, stories, or links of anything that we've discussed, go to our website, John1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun and protecting your constitutional rights. Everybody, Have a good day.
Bye-bye.